How does a well-designed building impact people? How does good architecture influence people? A few months ago, I was at Jewel Changi Airport, and I saw an elderly lady in a wheelchair all by herself. Approaching her, thinking that she might need some help, I asked her if she was okay. And she smiled and she said to me that she was enjoying the landscape and the greenery of the garden. She preferred to be outdoors, but her condition, her wheelchair, made it difficult for her to go. She thought she got everything what she wanted in this building, whether it was connection to nature, harmony, or peace. She believed that she felt like the building was designed for her and her family. She felt that she could enjoy the garden and her family could enjoy shopping without any tension or without any hassle. Having spent last 5 years of my life working with a team that has designed and built Jewel, and having spent almost every single day on site for the last 4 years, her experience was a compliment that I took it seriously. I'm a part of a team of special people, actually, a group that designs buildings all over the world. A design studio led by Mr. Moshe Safdie, a visionary designer who has spent lifetime designing projects that have influenced people. I moved to Singapore 10 years ago to work on Sky Habitat as well as Marina Bay Sands. After staying in Singapore, I realized that the dense neighborhoods and the influence of the cities and the buildings on people. The compact urban sites made me aware of the scarcity of land. And it made me believe in the first principle of our design, which was project's largest civic role should be considered in the heart of every design. You see, buildings make a strong impact on the site on which they are built. Just like when you throw a pebble in water, it creates ripples. Well-designed buildings create positive ripples through neighborhoods, cities, and countries. Buildings need to be thought well and designed well and built well so that the people who live in the buildings can enjoy them. Marina Bay Sands is a great example of this ripple effect. It is a global phenomenon recognized all over the world as a symbol of Singapore. It is also an example of how architecture can really change a city or can be a catalyst for economic and economic development. Our latest project, Jewel, is another example which has a regional and global impact. Jewel is a new building paradigm for airports where a range of programs like airport operations, shopping, entertainment can coexist in one building. Situated in the heart of the terminals, Jewel is the new heart of Changi Airport in Singapore. It is well connected to the other terminals of the building. And contrary to the traditional retail design practice, the focus of this building is around a landscape garden, which is like around 2 soccer field size, 15,000 square meters of space, landscape garden, which has no commercial activity and is open 24 hours a day. When passengers arrive at Terminal 1, they enter Jewel. And Jewel now is the new gateway of Singapore. You might wonder when we do these big projects, how does one take an idea, let's say like Jewel, and transform from dream to reality? In our case, this project was awarded to us in a design competition. Even though the client's requirements were very challenging for the compact site, the tight site, we truly believed that our design should include a large garden, which would be timeless, a large garden around a big waterfall. We have done many gardens, and we have done waterfalls, but this by far was the biggest one. This was a small little team when we began the competition. After the competition was won, we started the design development process with the client. The client team included many people. They included the Changi Airport Group, they included Capital Land, the local developer, and many stakeholders. We had the airport operations, which were the roadside, people controlling the roads, people controlling parking. We had landscape team, we had leasing team. Now, when you work with so many teams together and they have many competing requirements, the main idea usually gets diluted. What can be more different? You can imagine, right? A landscape garden, a botanic garden, and a shopping together in one area. After all, plants, people, shopping all have different needs. Our design was thoroughly reviewed. We got comments about things that they didn't like, things that they liked. They added new programs. A lot of changes were being made. And we were getting conflicting messages as our design was stretched in all directions. But we always remembered that the main central idea was the garden, and that had to be safeguarded. Now, that didn't go well with the retail team because the retail team wanted to make sure that their shops, their terraces, all needed great visibility from the garden. They wanted people to know that's the shop there, that's a restaurant there. It was a long process of discussions with them. We showed them many renderings. We did full-size mock-ups for them to believe that, the view looking out of a terrace was more important than the view looking in. But after a long discussions and everything, we managed to prove it to them that, if you believe in us, the payoff would be great. It would be one-of-a-kind experience. What you're seeing right now is a picture of a terrace that exists at Jewel. We have 14 of these, and people are really enjoying sitting over there and dining experiences. In parallel, as we were doing this, finalizing the design, we were working with a lot of other consultants, making sure our building worked well, making sure that functionality-wise it was perfect, authority submissions-wise it was perfect. This went on for 6 months till the contractor came on board. The contractor with his hundreds of subcontractors were all on site. So now our team was more than 10 times bigger. So we were going to construct this building with the same idea. Construction is a very stressful process, which we all know. It's particularly stressful when you have to design a complex building like Jewel, where shopping and garden coexist, different needs, coexisting under one roof. Construction is particularly stressful if this building has to exist on an airport which has been #1 for 9 years in a row. It's very stressful. And also because the site was very, very tight. This site was between an active terminal and a control tower. Very limited access. It was a logistical nightmare. The contractors had limited access for their trucks and their equipment. There were firm deadlines, because any delay would impact the adjoining terminal. So with all this stress, you can imagine, a contractor team means hundreds of people working together, trying to get their work done. And a lot of times, it means sacrificing the quality of workmanship, sacrificing, all the quality of the whole building. This was an important building for us, for the country. And during this phase, when the client makes changes, it's even worse. And clients do make changes. So this is the time when my role and my team's role becomes, from designers, we shift to design guardians. We start working with the contractor to make sure that there is, that the solutions are right, that this is the design we have to follow. Trust me, during this phase, the contractor has no patience to listen to our design or design ideologies. The most challenging part of this process is to convince the contractor to believe in your idea, to believe in your design, to believe in the bigger goal. This is all happens during the stressful time of, when they have to finish the building. Large projects like this, when the contractors or when each teams have their own goal, and when there's a conflict begin, these conflicts need more than a technical resolution. It needs patience, it needs understanding. We have to really respect each other, we have to respect the contractors, we have to respect their opinions, and we have to help them. Our team developed a technique, we worked together, we developed a technique to say, let us be one step ahead of the contractor. So we made sure everything that was going on site. We made sure we knew everything that had to happen. We reviewed the design. We reviewed what was going on site, and we proposed solutions even when even before they needed it. This was to ensure that we knew the issues before the contractor could get to that. Just to give you an example of a complexity of this building, I want to take a small element, like a planter, to show it to you what it meant. When I say a planter, it means a pot with plants, right, with trees. In Jewel, we have more than 2,500 trees and more than 10,000 shrubs, all on these terraced stepped planters. These step planters are 5 stories. They start from the base of the waterfall and go up there. And if we were to stretch the length of the planters together, it would be more than 3.5 kilometers. 30 soccer fields, 30 times the length of a soccer field. Now, these planters not just contain trees and root balls, but they contain a lot of services, like air conditioning ducts, like different kinds of poles, tree washing pole, light pole, camera pole. They also have projectors. They also have speakers, all sorts of things. It was a huge, huge challenge to coordinate all these elements. While we were coordinating, we were also discussing how should the planters be constructed. Now, the contractor had an idea because we didn't have enough time. The contractor proposed to construct these planters on site, in situ. Well, we wanted them to be prefabricated, and we wanted them to be of a certain quality. Now, constructing them on site in place didn't guarantee any quality, or we were not even sure about the look and feel. So after many discussions, brainstorming sessions, we all agreed that we need to finish these planters with a material that's going to look very, very natural. So together, we ventured into the volcanic areas of Indonesia, Yogyakarta. This is to meet with people who work with volcanic rocks to understand how they create these tiles, how they cut the lava stone, what sizes we would get, what quality we would get, and most importantly, would they be able to deliver this quantity? It was very important for us to understand how we would mutually benefit. When I say we, I mean the time and the project. Is the contractor going to be able to finish on time? The result was stunning. The result enabled the construction to be on time, within the budget, and it created a naturally looking valley. Through experiences like this, we earned, we became partners with the contractors. Basically, we offered support and information before even the contractor could ask for it. We spent time with them, whether it was fabrication, whether it was working with stone masons to make sure that we got good paving patterns, whether it was going all the way to Thailand to review where the acrylic panels were being made so that we could get the right quality that the building deserved. We did all this just so that to make sure that the building was done in a proper way. Do not let any team fail. Their failure is our failure was my motto, and I repeated this every single day to the team. This was the only way to ensure that we looked out for all team members. This was a way to ensure that the design was being delivered. When you work with so many teams and conflicts and issues, you realize that the most issues are really people issues, and they all require a different solution. Sometimes it requires patience, and sometimes it requires almost clinical reasoning to solve the issue. Sometimes we needed to be assertive, and at times it's really about inspiring them to do better. Sometimes we just had a cup of coffee, we kept our differences aside, and tried to find out ways of doing things. It was always about consensus. Always. And I would go home at times with headaches, and I wonder, isn't it easy just to follow what the contractor's saying? Why do we have to fight them? Why do we have to argue? And you do wonder, why is it so important to fight or argue or butt heads day in and day out? Why is it important to safeguard the design? I believe that success of a design does not lie in its beautiful form, nor does it lie in its maximum functionality. Success lies in whether the users of the building get the experience that the building was designed for. Remember the joy on the lady's face? We created a space that brought her peace and repose in the daily hustle-bustle city life. The same space allowed her family to enjoy, to shop, without any worries. Jewel has shown that the airport experience does not have to be stressful. Now, Jewel Changi Airport has been open for 6 months, and has created excited ripples around the world. It has become, in my mind, where a city and garden can coexist, where a traveler can feel rejuvenated and a local traveler can feel excited about the space. Transit passengers are extending their stay to enjoy the space, whereas senior citizens on wheelchairs are set in peace, enjoying nature in a comfortable way. The place is packed with people, lots of people coming in, taking pictures, and they wonder, how did they do it? There's a sense of wonder as you go into the building, as you look at the water feature, as you look at the garden. There is a smile on everybody's face who comes in. Building such a jewel impacts millions of people around the world, and on all walks of life. This gives me personally a deep sense of gratitude, as well as profound inspiration as a design guardian, as a designer. And it's a great sense of responsibility. It is definitely worth the effort to create spaces that are going to be enjoyed by millions of people. Thank you.